A year ago, the industry came together to discuss the Triple Glazing Question. More than 600 people from out the UK came to Coventry Ricoh Arena to discuss the technical challenges that triple glazing brought to our industry. 1 year on, we're back today to discuss whether those challenges have been achieved and how we go forward and how the industry has changed over the past year. I'm joined today by a panel of experts. To my right, I have Ian Sims, Managing Director of Double R. I have Giles Willson, the CEO and Director for Technical Affairs at the Glass and Glazing Federation. On my left-hand side, I have Patrick Firminger, Marketing Director at TrueFrame. I have Mark Schlotel, Head of Marketing at Synseal Extrusions. And finally, but not least, Tony Smith, UK Business Development Manager at NSG Pilkington.
It's only going to ever be driven by, regulation.
Yes.
At the minute, there is no energy rating for the installation. It's there's products on the market, TrueFit being one of them that go that does that. It provides that whole installation energy efficiency. But at this moment in time, there's no requirement to use it.
I mean, that's a very valid point, but you have to look at what's regulation and what's voluntary. Regulation is the minimum standard. So with window energy ratings, you've got the minimum requirements. Yes. What we're looking at is actually adding value, the A+, the A++. It's all added value to the consumer. It's not the regulation where, you're just meeting the compliance rate.
But if you bring that minimum regulation up, then naturally everything comes up anyway.
And that will progress with time, and that's with dialogue with government, DCLG, who look after the building regulations for England. You've got Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, GGF. We're in constant dialogue with them to sort of look at, what can the market take? And they like to see, what are people installing? What are they actually using? I mean, from the fence statistics for people who use window energy ratings for compliance, a large number will either meet the minimum requirements of a C rating, or equally the A rating. So you either differentiating top of the class, or you're just complying, and that's the key thing, which is what you would expect from a market anyway. So the A to G rating is a progression chart. So yes, currently sees the requirement. It could go forward. Approved Document L for England will be for consultation in the near future. So that could be something considered by government. I can't dictate what will go on, but we will actually put forward a case that's the way to move forward for it. But I think also the installation and the interface with the existing building, that is the weak link, and that is areas where you do need to look at how it does work.
Yeah, it can really. Well, Andy, you've probably done all the work on it with the TrueFit product. I mean, we did at Pilkington, we commissioned a study, and you get the perimeter wrong, and it will drop an A-rated window to an F maybe. It's as easy as that to make it
drop the window.
No, the equivalent. Sorry, the equivalent. The equivalent amount.
And I think you have to keep this as a simplified method, because the window itself is rated, because that's what you can control. It's another phase of the installation, and you look at that and you work with other bodies to make sure that you put the best practice in play, and then it will come into regulation. But of course, regulation and enforcement is a key thing, which it becomes quite hard how you would enforce that, because you'd have to inspect as it's installed, and every installation can be difficult. It does make the process a lot more of a challenge, but it doesn't mean we don't go there. And I think with the triple glazing solution, with the installation solution, is where we're continually improving as an industry, because we realise these challenges. I mean, and it's something to look forward to.
But something to pick up on what you just said there, and it takes me on to my next question. Phil Brown, I think, of Pilkington, wrote a very interesting article in the trade press about eco-design. Obviously, we've seen A++ now come out. Window energy ratings has been around for 10, 12, 13 years now. Are we going to end up in a situation where it's A+++++, as with the advancements getting made, or is the whole thing to get set upside down? I mean, I've read part of the eco-design. I'm saying I haven't read all of it because it's a very chunky document, but part of that does talk about the perimeter edge. It does talk about the overall installation. If that's the case, if eco-design becomes law, the European norm, How are you? Is this the death of the window energy rating, or do you need to rethink the window energy rating to include installation?
Right. The proprietary study, which has been undertaken by the consultants for the European Commission, is a great opportunity for BFRC. Yeah. It's a very difficult document to read. It's a lot of paperwork, and it really is a desktop study of what is happening across the whole of the EU. Mm-hmm. The one big thing which comes out of that is that the UK is the leading force with BFRC's window energy rating. Mm-hmm. It's been a big success, and it's been recognised as a massive success. Yeah. The one key element that the Commission are quite keen to do is that's the UK. You look at other markets, and there's other schemes in Spain, in Portugal, in France, Italy. There's 2 schemes. They want to replicate what's happened in the UK market. They see the value of that, and that is really what they want to work on. What BFRC are doing is we're continuing to talk. So we've been in dialogue for the last 2 years with the consultants, giving them a lot of information, guiding them of what we've been up to, how it's progressed, how we've tried to simplify the process. And that's been the key element, simplification. Earlier on in this consultation process, we saw some horrific proposals of very, very complicated diagrams, and that which would not work in practice. It has to be simple to succeed. So we're continuing our dialogue, working with UK government, working with European Commission, working on how this could improve. And I could see that this is a stepping stone, that the BFRC scheme, which was based on a European research project, so we didn't make it up, it's a European research project, we took it, we moved forward. Mm-hmm. So actually, this is a natural progression of moving forward into the future for the whole of Europe, which for operations who work outside the UK is another good feature.
So are Brussels listening? I mean, are they listening to you guys, or will it be, well, yeah, love what you're saying, thanks, however, this is what we're doing?
I think, well, they are listening. They've actually published a document which actually says the BFRC scheme is good. We like it. So, I mean, that's a good item. If there's any change, it's evolution, not revolution. I don't think they'd want to do that. And that's the message we're getting back to them. If they're going to say, okay, that's the BFRC scheme, we're going to do a totally different scheme which is mandatory across the whole of Europe. Oh, that would be a change which wouldn't be beneficial to the UK market, which is the proven market driver. Mm-hmm. And that wouldn't be an easy message to push across the rest of Europe.
I suppose the obvious question, no one wants to scaremonger, if it does change, what happens to all the energy labels which are out there? I mean, people like Mark's company, they've got simulators full time who are working, very, very hard, and they have to go and do the 4,400 energy labels all over again.
Well, when you look at the many, many thousands of simulations which have been undertaken, I'd hate to think of how many there are. We have actually fed back that the basic calculation, and let's go to keep it as simple as possible, because you can look at this very complicated. We're looking at heat loss from a building, which is measured by the U value. Mm-hmm. You're looking at solar gain, and you're looking at air leakage. That basic equation would still continue. That's in the proposal. Mm-hmm. The one thing which you would differentiate is the constants, which is the climate zone, and it depends on the climate zone you're in. We've based it on the UK climate. There was a proposal in this paper to have a wider climate zone, which would make the UK figures less accurate. Now, I'm quite happy to keep on banging the table in Brussels to say, would you want us to change to make our market less accurate? Mm-hmm. We have a big advantage. We're an island, so it's a natural marketplace for a natural climate zone, so we wouldn't have to change. And that's not having any loss of face for the European Commission. Correct. It shows the advantages, so we could drive forward. It would link in with a pan-European scheme, it'd be a simple scheme, and it would help promote energy-efficient windows across the whole of Europe.
Do you ever foresee a time where the overall installation will come into a scheme? Or do you think that's just too difficult to manage, too difficult to implement, too difficult to police?
I think
So how far do you want to take it there? How many variables do you want to take into account?
Completely right. What I was going to take to, when we started off with the window energy ratings, the 8G rating, we progressed because we looked at what's happening in the marketplace. So we're reacting to, yes, you've stated at the beginning of this interview, 100% of the people you spoke to had a triple glazing option. So actually, from a BFRC point of view, we've got to actually have a product range which reflects what's available in the marketplace. If we're not going out sort of saying, actually, we're going for this totally new product to drive innovation. We're looking at what's happening in the marketplace, what is being fabricated, what's being sold, and we try to reflect that. If we were still saying, oh, well, you need an E-rated window, that doesn't reflect the marketplace. So there is an opportunity. We do cover installation of a product obviously through Fencer. That's not a BFRC scheme, so you've got the standard product, but we're checking of how it is installed. That's meeting building reg compliance. You can get product certification for installation. Several companies will provide that. There's numerous products already in the marketplace. It just depends on the perceived value and the cost and how much the end consumer is prepared to pay.
Yeah, don't disagree at all. And it wasn't that long ago that Robin Kent stood up on the stage, I think in 2006 or 2007, at the very first Coventry Ricoh Arena event, and said, A ratings, we put it that high because we need to future-proof the rating. Well, 7 years down the line, we're on A++. I just wonder where it ends.
Well, you give this industry a challenge, they will take it up, they will find a product and they will sell it, which actually shows what a positive industry it is. It gets knocked sometimes, but actually that shows about the development and evolution from the window industry.
Certainly the last few years, I think everybody's been wanting to do something innovative, haven't they? I think as soon as recession effectively, kind of ended, everybody's like, right, okay, let's go out there, let's innovate. But the ones that are winning are the people that are innovating during that period of time.
Yes. Yeah. With energy ratings, Andy, I think it's generally accepted that A++ and the levels in were index number terms, we are reaching the limits as it stands at the moment.
Physics,
the laws of physics. You're absolutely right, Mark. The laws of physics are really dictating where we are